Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to part number 3 of my video series, which I created in order to help you understand the provisions for the global talent UK visa applicants. So in my first video, I've explained the rules for endorsements, and in the second one, I've explained visa application rules for those who would like to either enter the UK or remain here in the UK and then eventually settle. So this was for the main applicants, for the global talent applicants, and this particular video is for the dependents. So this is for the spouses or married partners, and for children, dependent children under the age of 18. So let us begin.
Welcome back, and this is video number 3 dedicated to the global talent route. In our video number 1, we talked about the first stage of the global talent visa application, the endorsement stage, and in the second part of the video we discussed visa applications for those who are outside the UK and those who are in the UK and they would like to remain here or to enter the UK as global talent applicants. And we also discussed the indefinite leave to remain provisions for these types of applicants. This video is all about dependents. Guys, just to let you know that I am discussing lots of rules, and for your ease of reference, I've created a special ebook for the global talent applicants and their family members, where I give you Mindmap summary of everything which was discussed in this and previous videos, and it will give you an overview of a very detailed overview of the appendix global talent. So this particular video is for dependents. We'll talk about the provisions to enter the UK and to remain here, those who are applying for permission to stay, and also we'll talk about the indefinite leave to remain applications. Okay, so as with the main applicants, the dependents, first of all, let me clarify who dependents are. Dependents are partners. They can be unmarried partners or they can be spouses and children under the age of 18. And if they are over the age of 16, they will need to prove that they are not leading an independent life. They're still dependent on the main applicant, and they are not married. So as with the main applicants, you will need to prove the validity requirements, and it consists of the following components. First of all, you'll need to complete the specified form, and once again they differentiate the forms depending on whether or not you are an EU national with a chip passport, because if you are, all you can do is just to complete this very simple and straightforward ID check app. And alternatively, if you still think that you would like to go for the online form, you're very welcome to do so. So if you're applying from outside the UK, you will need to use the form which is called dependent partner visa. So if you're applying as a partner or as a spouse, or if you're applying as a child, then you'll need to use this one, which is called dependent child visa. And if you're already in the UK, then you have an option here. So you can either apply, if you're applying simultaneously with your global talent applicant, so he's or she is going to be called the global talent sponsor. So if you're applying together with the sponsor, you can be part of the application form, and so that will be stage 2 global talent application form. Alternatively, you can still use these application forms, which are called dependent partner or dependent child. You'll need to pay the fee, the immigration health surcharge, provide them with a passport or ID and other documents supporting your application. The main documents will be a confirmation of your relationship with the global talent sponsor. And also, if you're applying as a partner, you'll need to be over the age of 18, and the same rules for those who were granted some kind of government or international scholarship. So if this happened in the last 12 months, and this is, guys, about you, so it's not about the main global talent sponsor. So if you had a government award or international scholarship, you will need to get a written consent from them, and you'll need to provide the Home Office with evidence that they are aware aware that you're making this application and they are agreeable to this. And we have a very similar switching rules. Switching is a legal process which allows the applicants to switch from one immigration category to another. For example, if you came here as a student, but after that you married and you would like to remain here as a spouse of a global talent sponsor or global talent applicant, then you are switching immigration categories. In certain circumstances, you will not be allowed to do so. So here they are. First of all, if you're here as a visitor, you will not be allowed to switch, or as a short-term student, as a parent of a child student, or as a seasonal worker, or as a domestic worker in a private household, or if you have a discretionary leave to remain, or some type of other visa which was granted outside the immigration rules. In these circumstances, you will not be allowed to switch. So if this applies to you, then all you need to do is just go outside and reapply from outside. So these were our validity routes. Now let us have a look at the suitability requirements. Suitability requirements is all about proving to the decision maker that you are a suitable person to enter or remain in the UK, and you will not endanger the UK society as a result of your application being granted. So in other words, if you have criminal convictions, you'll need to make sure that it will not trigger one of the grounds for refusal, which is described at part 9. And I've created a special video explaining part 9, general grounds for refusal, so you're very welcome to watch that video. And also, if you're applying from the UK, then you need to prove that you were not in breach of any of immigration laws, and you have a valid leave to enter or remain here, unless you can prove that paragraph 39E applies. Paragraph 39E describes circumstances under which the Home Office will be prepared to close their eyes on very short periods of your staying here. In other words, remaining without a visa. They normally do not exceed 14 days, and you normally will be expected to provide some evidence confirming that you overstayed as a result of some circumstances which were objectively beyond your control. For example, if you got really ill and you were at the hospital and you were unable to make an application at that point. Needless to say that the Home Office will expect you to provide evidence to prove that paragraph 39E applies. The application will be also refused if you are here on immigration bail and you are attempting to make the application. Now, moving on to eligibility requirements. Eligibility requirements is the key element. As you've seen, the validity requirements and the suitability requirements are pretty similar for the majority of UK immigration law visa application, whereas eligibility requirements will always be different depending on the type of the application you are attempting to make. So here we have the entry requirements, the relationship requirements for partners and children, and also we have age requirements, and also they explain what happens if the application is refused. And the last section is dedicated to outlining the conditions which will be imposed on your stay, and also they tell you how long you will be allowed to remain here if your application is granted. So let us start with the entry clearance requirements. First of all, this is mandatory. What this means is that even if you are not required to apply for visa when traveling, so if your country is not on the visa national list, so if let's say you are from Canada and you are normally allowed to travel to the UK without applying for visa first in order to enter the UK as a visitor, in these circumstances, if you would like to enter the UK as a dependent, a child, or a partner of the global talent sponsor, you are required to make the application from outside. So this is mandatory. That's why the word mandatory is here. And also, if your country is on the Appendix T list, then you will need to provide the entry clearance officer with the TB certificate. And in order for you to check whether or not your country is on this list, you're very welcome to visit ukvisasuccess.com/global talent. And this information will be with you within the next 60 seconds. Moving on to the relationship requirements for partners. We have some requirements with regards to the global talent sponsor, and also we have a number of rules for unmarried partners. So let us first of all look at the requirements with regards to the global talent applicants. They say that you can only apply as a partner of the global talent sponsor if he is currently in the UK or she is currently in the UK with the permission to stay under the global talent route, or they're making the application at the same time, or they are either settled here in the UK, so in other words they hold an indefinite leave to remain, or they're already British citizens but their last grant was under the global talent routes. So this is an excellent improvement to the rules. So here you will still be allowed to enter the UK even if the person was already granted a settlement or they naturalized British citizens, provided you can prove that they did so via the global talent route. And the second one, we have a number of rules with regards to unmarried partners. If you enter the UK as someone who is not married, as partner in durable relationship, you will need to prove 2 years of cohabitation. You will need to also show that all your previous relationship have permanently broken down and that you are not related to each other in any way which is prohibited by the UK law. So in other words, you are not brothers or sisters, or you're not related in any form. In other words, you are only as partners here, and that your relationship are genuine and subsisting, and you have an intention of living together with each other when the application is granted. I would like to emphasize here that if you're married, none of these requirements apply. So all you need to provide is your marriage certificates. And now let us discuss the relationship requirements for the children. Again, as with the relationship requirements for the partners, we have some rules which apply to the global talent sponsor, and also we have some rules which apply to the parents. So the sponsor is very similar to the rules for the partners. They will need to be either here on the global talent visa, or they will need to be applying at the same time, or if they already have indefinite leave to remain or naturalized as British citizens, you will need to provide evidence confirming that they had permission to remain in the UK on the global talent route. The rules with regards to parents are pretty strict, and I strongly suggest that you pay close attention to them. First of all, if both parents are not applying to enter the UK and remain here either as a global talent applicant or as their spouse, you will need to show that the global talent sponsor is the sole surviving parent, so the other parent died, or they have a sole responsibility for the child's upbringing. So this normally will need to be confirmed by some official documents. Normally they will expect the papers from the court, or there are some other serious and compelling reasons. Guys, the threshold for these serious and compelling reasons is very, very high. You cannot just say that we believe that it's better for the child to live in the UK and therefore would prefer the child to be living with the global talent sponsor. No, this will not apply. You'll need to show that there are circumstances which will affect the child's welfare if the application is not allowed. For example, where we have the other surviving partner remaining in their country of origin, but they're so ill they will not be able to look after the child, and for this reason the child wants to travel together with the global talent sponsor in order to stay with them. And if they stay outside, you'll need to provide evidence confirming that this will not be beneficial for the child. If you're applying under this particular category, you will need to get a number of really strong evidence to prove that. So that was our relationship requirement for the child. I would like to also mention here that if the child is under the age of 18, you'll need to provide evidence confirming that suitable arrangements were made for the child's care and accommodation. So in other words, there will be someone who will be looking after the child when the global talent applicant is at work. This especially applies to someone when there is only one parent who will be staying here together with the child. With regards to the age requirements, as I mentioned before, all applicants will need to be under the age of 18, and we are talking about the entry clearance or extension applications. And if the child is over the age of 16, you will also need to provide evidence or expressly confirm that the child is not leading an independent life. And if the application is refused, there is no right to appeal. However, you will be allowed to apply for administrative review in accordance with Appendix AR, which stands for administrative review. And if you'd like to have a copy to this appendix, you're very welcome to request it at ukvisasuccess.com/global talent. Now, let me explain the length of your visa and the conditions which will be imposed on your stay. You will get exactly the same period of time which your global talent sponsor will, and very standard conditions will be imposed on your stay here in the UK. So you will not be allowed to claim any benefits. You will be allowed to work or register as self-employed. However, you will not be allowed to work as a professional sports person or as a sports coach. You will be allowed to study, but this will be subject to the ATAS appendix condition, which is described at Appendix ATAS, and I can provide you with the link if you request it at ukvisasuccess.com/global talent. This particular appendix applies only if the child is over the age of 18. You will be required to register with the police if a Part 10 of the immigration rules applies. And again, I have provided you with the link if you request it. These were our eligibility requirements for the entry clearance applications and for further leave to remain applications. And now I would like to talk about the rules for indefinite leave to remain applications. So the validity requirements, the same online application form, which is called SET-O, a settlement order. You'll need to pay the fee, the immigration health surcharge. You will need to provide your biometrics and passports or some other form of ID. Normally, they will only accept your passport, and also you must be in the UK, and you'll need to provide other evidence confirming that you meet the requirements. Normally, this will be proof of your a relationship with the main applicants, with the global talent applicants, and also if you're a child, you will need to provide evidence confirming that suitable care arrangements have been made. With regards to the suitability requirements, the same Part 9 rounds for refusal provisions, and you must not be in breach of immigration laws unless paragraph 39 applies, and you must not be on immigration bail. And the last requirements which I wanted to discuss in this video was about the eligibility requirements. As I said, they are always different for various types of applications. So we have the relationship requirements. So first of all, the relationship requirements are about the global talent sponsor. Here, you will need to prove that the main applicant is either applying for global talent settlement, or this type of application was already granted, or they're already here with the indefinite leave to remain, so they're settled here, or they have a British citizenship. However, they had the permission to remain here on the global talent route. And we have the same rules applying to the parents. So if only one parent is applying, then you will need to prove that the global talent sponsor is the only surviving parent, or they have a sole responsibility for the child's upbringing, or there are some other serious compelling reasons. Guys, I draw attention here that if you, for example, made your application for entry clearance and you managed to prove that there were some serious compelling reasons, those will be revisited once again if only one parent is in the UK. So, for example, if we had another parent who was in their country of origin and they could not apply because they were not well, now the Home Office will expect you to provide some further evidence, fresh evidence, to prove that the situation remained unchanged. So please be very careful when you are relying on that particular provision. The same care requirements: if the child is under the age of 18, you will need to provide evidence confirming that suitable arrangements for the child's care and accommodation have been made. And very similar age requirements we have here. You'll need to prove that the child is under the age of 18, or if they're over the age of 18, their last grant was in the capacity of a dependent child. So that's absolutely fine for someone to be over the age of 18 when they're applying for their settlement for their indefinite leave to remain, provided their last grant was as a dependent child. And if someone is applying and they're over the age of 16, you will need to also provide evidence confirming that not leading an independent life. How can you prove this? Well, by generally stating this in your cover letter and confirming that the child is either in education or they're fully financially dependent on the main applicants. With regards to qualifying periods, unlike the global talents, main applicants who in some circumstances will be allowed to get their indefinite leave to remain only after 3 years, all partners and children will be allowed to settle only after 5 years. So even if the global talent sponsor was allowed to remain here and apply for settlement only after 3 years, the main applicants will need to wait for another 2 years before they will become eligible for indefinite leave to remain. The same rules with regards to the continuous residence. Continuous residence provisions are all about you not being outside the UK for a permitted number of years. I have created a separate video for this particular requirement, and I strongly encourage you to watch this video because I have seen a number of applicants who were unable to make their indefinite leave to remain applications only because they did not qualify under these particular requirements. With regards to the English language requirement, it's either English language test at the level of B1, or you can provide some evidence confirming that you meet the English language requirements in some other way. For example, you are from the majority English speaking country, or you have a bachelor degree or above which was taught in English from outside and approved by NAREC UK, or the certificate was issued here. If you would like to have links to this particular appendix English language, or if you'd like to have a link to NAREC UK organizations, you're very welcome to request it at ukvisasuccess.com/global talents. If the applicants are over the age of 18, they will need to pass the Life in the UK test. And unfortunately, if the application is not successful, you will only be allowed to apply for administrative review. However, that is provided you cannot prove that the Article 8 element is triggered by the refusal. Article 8 element is all about right to private and family life, and these provisions are quite complex, and if the application is refused, I strongly suggest that you ask a very experienced immigration advisor to check the reasons for refusal and see whether or not they can argue that you have a right to appeal because of the Article 8 grounds. And these were our eligibility requirements for the settlement applications. And this is all we wanted to discuss in this video, my friends. And this was the end of our 3-part video series in which I've discussed the rules for global talents applicants. Have an amazing week, guys. I would like to invite you to visit this page, ukvisasuccess.com/more, where you'll find plenty of free immigration resources explaining various immigration rules. And I also invite you to subscribe to a new, very, very succinct and short newsletter where I'll be updating you on various changes in the world of UK immigration law, and also I will be sending various exclusive invitations to the members of ukvisasuccess.com community. You'll only be able to get these offers if you're subscribed to this newsletter. Have an amazing week, guys.